Welcome to the Capitol News. I am your host, Alex Koritis. Today is Monday, January 11th, 2021. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you all enjoyed your weekend. Title of today's podcast, High Alert for Inauguration Day, which is only 9 days away, the 20th of January, and we have thousands of National Guardsmen being called up to be prepared to be there on Inauguration Day. We have completely become a banana republic. We were well on our way there with the money printing, with the decline and decay of our political shenanigans. We can't do elections right here. Everything is a conspiracy theory. It's fine if I win, but if I lose, it's rigged, etc., etc. Rhetoric juiced up on both sides of the aisle. It's okay for one side to say it. It's completely wrong for the other side to say it. You're a peaceful protester on one side. You're a domestic terrorist on the other. It's impeachable for the president to say and do what he has done. But for somebody like a Maxine Waters, you remember her, Congresswoman from California, impeach 45. Remember that? Couple years, that was when Trump was basically sworn into office. Impeach 45, get in people's faces, follow them wherever they're going, do this and that. Why wasn't that a problem? Why wasn't she removed from Congress and others? This is all inexcusable. Impeach them all. Get them all out of here. For those of you who go on my website, thecapitalnews.com, or actually read the blurbs, I've been putting out a hashtag Fire Congress. Get them all the hell out of here. They all want to feign their outrage. They want to get up there on the Senate or House floor and pretend they're students of history and how much they love and care for the Constitution, the same and very Constitution that they shred every single chance they get. They don't care. It's all a game. Now the censorship comes to town. Now the National Guard comes to town. Now the FBI is warning all 50 states to be on alert that all of your state capitals can be protested against. We can have rioters. We can have domestic terrorists coming to town. Militias can be there. Armed protesters. This is not the United States of America. This is a first world banana republic. And if we keep going down it, we're going to be just like a third world banana republic because we don't make sound, prudent investments here. No, we just print the money. We give it to the largest corporations on the planet, say screw you to everybody else. You get a $600 check in the mail. You too, ladies and gentlemen, can sponsor an American for only $1.64 a day. That's what it comes out to. This sounds like a commercial you're trying to help a kid over in Africa or Southeast Asia somewhere. For only 99 cents a day, you too can feed this poor little child, For $1.64, you can feed an American. That $600 ain't going to go far. Again, I'm against all these ballots, but they've already done it. Now, with the Democrats having control of our government, I imagine the $2,000 checks will be passed, approved, and sent out in the not-too-distant future. And these 9 days between now and Inauguration Day is going to seem like an eternity. We have the House Democrats moving forward with impeachment. So now the politics of this come to play, right? You have to ask yourself, well, is this the right thing to do? Or is this just very Machiavellian? Is this very calculated politically? Because the Democrats are attempting to get the Republicans on the record. Do you stand for this rhetoric that the president was engaged in heavily for the past few months? Some will argue for his entire tenure, if not before. Are you finally going to come down and say enough is enough? Agree with this impeachment? Or are you going to come down and say, well, this is just going to further divide the country? Because a lot of people out there are threatening if Trump is removed prior to Inauguration Day, either by the 25th Amendment or by an impeachment trial, that is what's going to make these people storm these capitals. It's one thing to protest peacefully. We're all for that 100%, at least we should be. But to storm capitals, especially with weapons, well, you got to be careful here. But that's what we are dealing with. Tensions are extremely high. Just in this country, now we have, and they never went away, but now we once again really have coming to the fore again, are geopolitical tensions. The United States and Taiwan, United States and China, the Iranians seizing a South Korean tanker, etc., etc. This is far from over. And a lot of these things are going to be front and center immediately. They never went away because these problems, these issues, these tensions were never solved. And if my analysis is correct, that 2021, at least economically speaking, is going to be worse than last year, well, then that's going to be the case for many, many countries around the globe. We have the famine crisis, as is forecast by the World Bank, the IMF, the UN, etc., etc. We have continued supply chain disruptions. There is going to be hoarding by individuals and by countries because, well, we don't know what's going to happen. How well are these vaccines going to work? Is this new strain really going to be that much more contagious, that much deadlier? We're already bottlenecking with other supply chains. Whatever we produce, we're not going to throw out onto the global market. We're just going to keep everything internally, or a significant amount thereof, because we have to take care of our people. Americans have to take care of Americans. The Chinese are going to say we have to take care of the Chinese, Japanese, etc., etc. It's just going to keep going and going. Far from out of the woods. What took place in Washington, D.C. at the Capitol, that needs to be investigated 100%. How could that possibly have happened? Seemed a little too easy for those people to simply breach the Capitol when Congress is in session. Both chambers. So you have to ask yourself, how did that happen? Why did that happen? What has since taken place after? Because you have to connect the dots, because sometimes what happens after the fact can sort of lead you to what, oh, well, that makes sense as to why this happened. So you have these people storming the Capitol. They're able to get in. You have the outrage. You have senators who were once supporting the challenge to the certification process of the Electoral College. Well, once that happened, several of them backed away. We're not signing off. We are no longer supporting the challenge to the Electoral College, the certification process. You then immediately see big tech companies and social media platforms shutting down the president, other conservatives primarily, shutting down Parler, or at least removing them, Amazon, from their web hosting service. Today, you even have Ron Paul, Congressman Ron Paul, not the senator, his son ran, but the former congressman from Texas, former presidential candidate, one of my personal heroes. Ron Paul has been basically banned from Facebook. This guy has been nothing about peace and prosperity, free market capitalism, and the restoration of the Constitution. Sound familiar? That's what I'm trying to do here. And this guy is banned from Facebook. Just shut him down. Now, it's their platform. It's their business. The First Amendment is not about private business. The government shall make no law. The government shall make no law. Not Facebook, not Twitter, not Google, the government. So if we don't like what Facebook is doing, what Twitter is doing and what they have done, what Amazon and Google have done and what they're continuing to do, if you don't like it, don't buy their stuff. Don't use their goods. Don't use their services. But you also have to ask yourself, how did these companies get as big as they are? Well, aren't we somewhat to blame for that? Oh, don't worry. We don't know the answer to that. I'll Google it. I'll Google it. That's part of our everyday vocabulary. Well, I'll Google it. Let's see what Google says about it. We'll find something out real quick. We're somewhat to blame for this. All the social media. We're on it. People are addicted. We talk about social media here all the time. The social dilemma. The documentary on Netflix. If you haven't checked it out, please do. Very educational. Very informative. This is deadly, dangerous stuff. It might not have been intended to be that way, but that's what it's turning out to be. And that's a shame because we can use these platforms to do a lot of good. They can be used to learn a lot of stuff. I'm on Twitter. I'm not very vocal on Twitter, but I scroll through Twitter all the time. Certain people I follow, things that you can learn. I mean, engineers, scientists, mathematicians can post things up there, get you thinking. National Park Service has an account. They show beautiful pictures of this country, coast to coast, for their national parks. I follow a lot of people with respect to economics in the financial markets. They put interesting takes and data on there. There's a whole host of reasons to use these platforms and to use these services. And of course, to us, they're free. Which is the other killer, right? We use all this stuff and it's free. Now, they're using our information. They're selling our data. They have too much information on us. And that's going to be dealt with, I imagine, in the not too distant future. But if you don't like these platforms, you don't have to use them. You don't have to download these apps to your phone or to your computer. You don't have to do it. You can start your own business. You can compete with them. But you have to understand, if you want to classify these businesses as monopolies, you have to understand that monopolies really only come into existence a couple of ways. One is the government sanctions it. It says, okay, and an example of this would be utilities. How many transmission lines do you need? You don't need Company A's transmission lines, Company B, C's, D's. I mean, there's just going to be too many wires going all over the place. So you have one utility company, and the government monitors how they behave. And of course, now there's some deregulation in that, but you get the gist. The other, of course, is there is just a company, a brilliant entrepreneur and brilliant business managers that manage a great company, and they offer a great product or service that millions and millions of people use. Now, typically, those types of monopolies are very hard to come by. They're very rare, and they typically do not last very long because there will be competition. But now you have to bring into the equation their relationship, these companies' relationship, or that company's relationship with the government. How buddy-buddy are they? So the government's always got to come in and wet its beak, right? That's always the problem. They're always part of it, if not the problem. So corporate welfare. Oh, give me tax breaks. I'll fill your campaign coffers because I'm a virtual monopoly. I have nothing but cash. I will make you president. I will make you governor. I'll make you senator. Right? And these people are going to do whatever they say. Jump, sit down, roll over. Good boy, good girl. So you're going to get preferential treatment. You're going to get corporate welfare, tax breaks, loopholes will be written into law. Of course, these guys and their lobbyists write them. You're going to get regulations that favor these companies. Yes, favor these companies because they already have the infrastructure. They're already on the ball field. They've been playing. Now the regulations come in. They have the infrastructure. They have the cash to put into their business a regulatory staff. Well, a guy starting a business out of his garage or out of his basement, he's going to have a tough time as it is, let alone now complying with the new regulations. So government can increase the barrier cost to entry. So it reduces competition, which the competition is exactly what would minimize the effect of a company turning into a monopoly or sustaining itself as a monopoly. So the government gets itself involved, and that's what's going on right now with all this censorship. Everybody knows that this is big tech, big tech, big tech. The government's involved. They throw a lot of money around in Washington, D.C. and around state governments. This is no surprise to anybody. So that's what's going back and forth. And people are, of course, upset that, well, the First Amendment. No. That has to do with preventing the government from interfering in our right to free speech. You have a house. You have an apartment. If you don't like how somebody's speaking in your house, you can kick them out. If you don't want them in your house to begin with, you can kick them out. Remember the story a few years ago with the couple in the bakery, and there was a gay couple that was getting married and they wanted a wedding cake? And they said, well, that's against our religious views. We don't believe in gay marriage. We're sorry, but we're not going to make you a wedding cake. And that turned into a national you-know-what show. It's their business. It's their business. It's their business. It's their rules. That's all there is to it. You might not like the decision that they've made. Well, guess what? Don't go to the bakery. Just don't go. And if a lot of people feel that way, well, those bakery owners are going to learn the hard way, and they're going to go out of business because they upset a lot of people. Now they don't have any customers. So bye-bye. So they'll learn their lesson. Maybe they'll open up another one. They'll do a huge apology tour, whatever they got to do. Say, look, we make great cakes, pies, cookies, whatever. We want to be a part of this community. We want to help it grow. So please forgive us. If that was the case, that would be what they would have to do. It's their business. That's the end of it. The same place here. Google, Apple, Twitter, Amazon, Facebook. You don't like them? Don't use them. Don't buy the iPhone. Don't download apps from the App Store, from the Apple App Store. You don't like Google? Go somewhere else for your searches. Start your own business. That's how it's supposed to be. I don't like the fact that they've taken off Ron Paul. I don't like the fact that they're shutting people down and being very selective in how they're doing it. Again, how you can let somebody like Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and others say things that somebody could say, well, you know, they're calling me for action. They're calling me to action. I have to get in the face of somebody who supports Donald Trump. I have to do harm to them. And both sides. But they're fine. They're still allowed to be on Twitter, but you shut down all these other people. I don't like it. But they can do it. Because it's their platform. It's their business. I mean, you could take this down the chain as far as you want and give other examples. But that's just something you have to understand. You don't like it? Don't go there. You know, people always get upset and they protest Walmart. Okay, fine. You don't like how Walmart operates. You think they treat their employees unfairly. Good. You can make a stink about it. You can protest peacefully. And you can also make the choice not to shop at Walmart. You can go somewhere else. That's how the free market system is supposed to work. Every day, with everything you do, is a vote. You vote with your feet and you vote with your dollars. You don't like that store? You go to another one. You just voted. That's why free market capitalism is the only system that can work that is compatible with a constitutional republic. Because they have the same goals in mind. They are rooted in the same principles. The individual rights, individual liberties. Do what you want so long as you do not do harm to somebody else. And round we go. You don't like what I'm saying? Don't listen. Turn the radio off. Turn the website off. Go somewhere else. That's how it works, folks. But everybody wants to be everybody's dictator. And that's what, unfortunately, we are learning through social media. And what it's leading us to in all of this division is high alert for Inauguration Day. Because everybody knows everything. Everybody has an opinion. And of course, everybody's opinion is the most important one, don't you know? This is what we come to. These are the shouting and screaming matches. And as soon as a certain word is spoken out of the lips of a Democrat or out of the lips of a Republican, the other side completely shuts down or becomes belligerent and cups an attitude, and there is no civil discussion. This can only occur in a society and in a country that is in decline and in decay. That's it. I mean, I've added to my list with things going to get worse in 2021, not just economically, but politically and socially. And it's, of course, all connected, so it's not a surprise to make that jump. It's not a very big jump at all. We are witnessing that now. Just because the calendar changed time doesn't mean anything. This is just a continuation of what we went through last year. And there's going to be a bunch of talk, obviously, with the fourth quarter now behind us of 2020. And we're going to get GDP figures. Well, what were the GDP figures for the fourth quarter of 2020, right? That's what everybody wants to know. GDP, growth, gross domestic product. Government spending, investment, consumption, and net exports, which is typically negative here because it's exports minus imports, and we import more in this country than we export, so that's typically a drag on GDP. But people like to preach out there that, well, things are great. There's $600 checks going out and probably $2,000 checks in the not-too-distant future, more billions and trillions of dollars of spending that are just going to go out into the system. That's going to be a benefit, a boom for the economy. That's ridiculous. That's working backwards because they're making the argument that spending drives economic growth. Oh, it's the other way around. Economic growth drives spending. There has to be something that was produced in order for you to be able to spend something. That's what grows the economy. Production, investment. With the fruits of your labors, you get to go out and now you get to spend your money on the production of somebody else. You produce cake, somebody else produces steaks. You sell your cakes, you get the money, you go to the butcher, you buy the steaks. That's how it works. You don't just say, government, print me off some money, and then there's GDP growth. That's not how it works. Yet you have idiots all over the place, on Twitter, on social media, on Bloomberg, Fox Business, CNBC, saying this is fantastic stuff. This is really going to be a boost to GDP. No, it's a boost to inflation. It, by definition, is inflationary. That's what we're dealing with right now. Commodity costs continue to go up. The stock market is completely rigged and manipulated. This is a joke. I mean, all you have to do is ask yourself, if this was such good policy, if we removed all of the money that was created over the past over the past 12 months, would the stock market be at these levels? Not even close. Would they be this high? Not even close. And look how easy it is to ask and answer that question. So you know this is just nothing but hot air. It's nothing but smoke and mirrors. And of course, they're all doing it. The United States is doing it. Europe and the ECB, the European Central Bank, are doing it. Bank of Japan, doing it. Chinese government and the People's Bank of China, they're doing it. Everybody's playing the same game. It's all smoke and mirrors. This is all destructive. It is all devastating. It is all contributing to further economic, social, and political decline. It is all contributing to further income and wealth inequality, which is going to contribute to the social and political decline. Because people are starving, people are unemployed, they're underemployed structurally, they're in food bank lines, and the world's billionaires have become $1 trillion richer. This is a setup for a disaster. No matter what you think politically, that one side is right and the other wrong, that's your first mistake. Thinking that it makes a difference. That's your first mistake. And it's not a small one, it's a big one. If you have not woken up to this yet, that the two-party system is a con, is a scam, is a fraud, and that it's basically one party, I don't know what else to tell you. especially those of you who have been with me. If this is your first time listening, you have an excuse. Those of you who have been with me, what are you waiting for? If you're a registered Republican, are you still a registered Republican, or have you left them to become an independent or unaffiliated or libertarian? If you're a Democrat, have you left them to become an independent, unaffiliated, or libertarian? Or make your own party up. Leave them. I have nearly 28 trillion pieces of evidence in my favor that these people do not care for you. We have the surveillance state. We have the military-industrial complex. We have banks and major corporations, the largest in the world, continuing to get bailed out. Oh, yeah, these people care about me. Oh, isn't that guy nice? Isn't that a sharp woman? Doesn't she know what she's talking about? No, she doesn't, and no, he doesn't. You got to wake up. This is a joke. So some market performance here. We have the dollar index trading at 90.42. So still maintaining that 90 handle. There's been some broader weakness against those other major currency pairs as the dollar strengthens. The euro is back down to $1.21, $1.21.5. So it was trading north of 123 last week. British pound was at $1.37. Now it's at $1.35.5. And on and down the chain we go. We had Bitcoin at 40,000. Huge sell-off over the weekend. Hit 30, 31,000. I mean, that's a 20% drop plus. Now it's what I'm looking at right now. It looks like it's like 36,000. This is not stable. This is not stable. And we're going to get to the other poster child of this everything bubble in a moment. Overnight futures trading, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 0.25%. The S&P 500 is up 0.25%. The Nasdaq 100 is in the green, up 0.4%. It was down today during the trading session. We'll get to that in a moment because of the censorship and what's going on with big tech. That, of course, let it lower. We have the Japanese markets gaining 0.25%. A sea of red across the pond in Europe, with the UK markets leading the way down 1%. And the Australian cash trade giving back about 1/3%. On the share price front, Apple gave back 2 1/3. Tesla gave back 7.8. So Tesla is a penny stock, right? How many times do I have to say it? Up 8%, down 8%. This is now one of the largest corporations in the world. They didn't even sell 500,000 vehicles last year, making Elon Musk, the founder and CEO of Tesla, the richest man on the planet. Come on. Poster child for the everything bubble. Microsoft giving back 1%, Amazon giving back 2 1/4, Facebook giving back 4% for the day. And all's well in the world because JP Morgan is up 1.5% and Goldman Sachs is up 1 1/3. Because, you know, the Federal Reserve said they can buy back their shares. They passed the stress test. Of course they did. We gave them hundreds of billions of dollars. If they gave you hundreds of billions of dollars, you'd be in a good position too. On the commodity front, WTI is trading at $52.64 a barrel. Brent at $56 even. Natural gas climbing 3%, $2.82. Gold and silver had a decent day today, but nothing big. But they are both currently also up in the green. Gold putting on 0.75%. Spot price trading at $1,858 an ounce. Silver spot putting on a gain of 2%, up at $25.41. And to round it out, Uncle Sam's 10-year junk note is yielding 1.15%. So there you have that. Don't forget, last week we talked about the December jobs report. A loss of 140,000 jobs. The official rate at 6.7%. Initial jobless claims last week came in at, 787,000 thereabouts, so still a heartbreaking and tragic number. Millions of people discouraged, not even looking for work, so they're not even counted. Long-term unemployed over a year, they're completely forgotten about to begin with. So if you take all that jazz into consideration, you're talking about an unemployment rate that's really, right off the bat, just based off of the number out of the report, you're close to 11, 12%. You look at the initial jobless claims, you're at 13 some odd percent. And then if you take everybody that's not working, which we really don't even have a count for those people, well, then it's even higher than that. We are far from out of the woods. Housing prices continue to go up. Food prices go up. We got commodity prices going up. Those are going to be passed through one way or the other. Margins are going to get squeezed with corporations, small, mid, and large, or those prices are going to be passed along to the consumer, or a combination thereof. The end result is not good, with so much structural unemployment and underemployment. And this is not going to be fixed by a printing press. The printing press can print U.S. dollars. It cannot print jobs. And they're going to learn that the hard way. And we're starting to see that. Put these people on notice. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. They give us nothing but ammunition every day to do so. But be smart about it. Go after something that's principled. Something that has nothing but evidence that they give us every single day. Not conspiracy theory, not a sore loser. If I win, it's fine. If I lose, it's rigged. That's not what we do in this country. It's not how you behave. It's not how you talk. The GOP, the Republican Party, is finished. Thank God. Now we only got one disaster of a party left to deal with, and they're going to hang themselves because they have power for the next couple of years. So we only got one to go. Halfway there. That's what I call progress. And of course, they're going to be scurrying around the Republicans like the rats and weasels that they are, trying to save their rear ends. But that's what they do. And some people will continue to fall for it. They apologize, or they say this or that, or they say, well, those guys are the socialists. Well, you don't want to know what a socialist is then, because we have nothing but central planning here right now. It's been here. What are you paying attention to? You're not. You're not. This is a completely centrally planned, centrally controlled government and economy. It's a disgrace. That's something to protest. That's something to put these people on notice for. And a lot of people can get behind it. Because all you got to do is educate people. All you have to do, because it's so easy to explain. But there's so much garbage in front of them. It's hard to see it. And of course, they're not taught this stuff in school, God forbid. And of course, who's in charge of the education system but the government? So figure that one out. But if you just sit down with people and you can have a civil discussion with them, which is of course rare, the lights will go off. They'll see it. You'll see it in their eyes. They'll wake up. They'll say, you know what? That's right. I never thought about that before. That's right. Because you don't do much thinking, do you? You just turn on Fox or CNN or MSNBC and you let those idiots say what they say. You take it as gospel truth, and then you come around and you regurgitate it. That is not a healthy society. And that is not going to make for a stronger, better, more perfect union. So the next 9 days and way beyond that are going to be nuts, to say the least. But high alert for Inauguration Day. Be prepared and stay safe. And stay diversified. And stay vigilant. And stay with the Capital News. I am Alex Koritis. Godspeed.